Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be joined by Claire Casson from Zita West Clinic very, very soon, I hope. We have got so many questions that we are not going to be able to get through them all, but I'll get through as many as I can. I hope those of you that did the course last night enjoyed it and that you're doing your homework today. And we've got another course tomorrow. I'll finish everything off. So any minute now, hopefully Claire will be coming on. Let's just see if she is coming. Okay. I'm sure she'll be joining us at any time. Nice to see lots of familiar faces on here. Right. I'll just keep holding on for her. Hopefully she's going to come on. These lives with nutrition always do really well because there's so many questions, and Claire is really, really good at what she does. Let's see if she's coming on. Come on, Claire. Okay. Are you able to give support for managing MTHFR? That's a good one to ask Claire when she comes on. Ah, here we are. She's going to be joining any minute now. Great. You had me very worried there for a minute, Claire. I've got about 100 odd questions on here, and I was thinking, oh my God, I can't answer some of these. But Happy New Year to you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. It's just all a bit slow today. I don't know why. I clicked on the thing, and it was just all a bit slow. But anyway, never mind. I'm here.
Oh, so. I just admire that spice rack behind you. Look at it. It's incredible.
I think it's the easiest way to just knock up something when you've got nothing in the fridge.
Oh God, you should see my cupboard. Everything falls out of it, Claire. You know, I wouldn't dare show anybody mine, but you know, very organised. I love organisation. Right, so you know, I've been doing this mini course, as you know. So I started it last night, and hopefully people are doing their homework, and I'll carry on tomorrow. So it's great to have you in the middle to answer some of these questions. And like I was saying last night, that first lockdown, everybody was, you know, like light in the evenings. And there was a sort of a novelty to it as well, wasn't there? In terms, it was all new. And but now, third lockdown, it's January, it's miserable. People have been putting weight on, cycles have been suspended. So it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's tough. It is tough. You know, I think it made so much difference before. You know, as you said, it was sunshiny and all. You know, but now we've just got to kind of hunker down and get through it.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely. And so, what I don't want for women is them to be too hard on themselves. I think that there's got to be a bit of give. And you know, if you have a bad day and you eat cream cakes or drink wine, just press your reset button and start again. Don't sort of beat yourself up about it. Right, okay, here are some of the questions. There's one. Foods to avoid during IVF.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly food, but I mean alcohol, definitely.
Yeah,
yeah. So just don't be too. I mean, you know, having said don't be too hard on yourself, but that, you know, that is the time really to just, you know, stay away from the alcohol. I think as well, you know, we know as well that, you know, a lot of added sugar is not really good for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that is probably the biggie, and your, you know, refined carbohydrates as well, which break down into sugar very quickly, because we really want to try and keep your blood sugar really nice and stable. You'll feel much better going through the process if you do that as well, because when you're on this sort of blood sugar up and down, when you get a blood sugar dip, you release a lot of stress hormones, so it can make an already stressful process.
And I think what's hard for women as well, that women are ruled by their moods, their foods and their hormones, aren't they? So that PMS phase before you have your period, very often you really have that craving for carbs. But I think there's a couple of things here. It's like for those women that are trying to conceive, those women that have got IVF in the future, and those that have got it, you know, soon. I think that 4 to 6 week lead up to IVF, no alcohol, you know, really get those nutrients in. And foods to avoid are all those processed foods and low fat foods. And
oh gosh, yes. I mean, for sure. I mean, I think, you know, eating, I find it easier to think of it rather than what to avoid, what to include, because when you know, if you really, you know, base what you're eating on real food, and really try and steer away from buying those processed foods and food products, you've got a lot more control over what you're eating. And it will just inevitably, in all likelihood, be healthier, really. And it doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be difficult at all. I mean, you know, saying about the spices, you know, one of the reasons that I have those is that, you know, you can just get a bit of fish, rub in a little bit of, you know, paprika and some mild chili or something like that, and just a little bit of herbs. You know, fry that ever so gently in a bit of olive oil, and it, you know, you can transform a boring old bit of white fish into something really quite interesting, and it takes like 10 minutes.
That's brilliant.
Vegetables away, you know, and I think, you know, so I think really focusing on eating real food. And steering away from those processed foods. And
one of the things I really don't agree with is nibbling in between meals. I think that lots of women do, and it's interesting. In the clinic a year or so ago, I noticed that all the girls were getting these boxes in to eat during the day, and it's not great because your blood sugar's up and down, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's much better if you can get the balance right at meals and not snack between meals. I mean, I think, though, that's one of the things that's really hard for people when they're at home and working from home, especially under lockdown, because it's all, you know, you've got stuff in the cupboard and, you know, you need to take a bit of a break or you're a bit bored of something. So you get up and you wander around and you just have a little look in the fridge or open a cupboard door and there it is, you know, and it's very hard then not to just have a little something. And I think, you know, but you're less tempted to snack if you've you know, if you're eating enough at meals and getting the balance right, so plenty of protein, lots of fiber, you know, in your vegetables and so on, you know, healthy fats. Those are the foods that are going to help you to feel fuller for longer.
And that's what's happening at the moment. I mean, I know for me, I was drinking copious amounts of tea, but it was really a distraction, you know, to get up from work and go and do something. And so that's the same for women at home now, isn't it? I mean, they're going to have off days. They're going to have bad days. They are going to sort of like think, oh, sod it, I'm just going to have that piece of cake or whatever. So...
And I think it's really important what you said right at the beginning is don't beat yourself up and don't be hard on yourself. I mean, I think you're going to help yourself if you've got some healthier things that you can eat. You know, just having a really nice, you know, colourful, bright bowl of fruit there, and always having, you know, a few nuts on hand. You know, so a nice piece of fruit and a handful of nuts. It's not quite the same, but it'll, you know, it can fill the spot. But if you do, you know. And I would actually say, you know, allow yourself a treat now and again. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a little treat a couple of times a week. It's just, you know, you do have to just, you know, contain it. You know, cake every day, not good. Cake, you know, once a week on a Saturday morning or something, you know, I mean, that's fine. And don't, you know, enjoy it, and don't feel guilty after you've had it as well. You know, enjoy it.
Another question here: what are the best foods to increase egg quality when you have a low AMH? And in your opinion, what are the top 5 fertility superfoods? So it's really 2 questions, and that's a question that women ask all of the time about egg quality.
I mean, egg quality, your antioxidant intake is really important for that. Okay.
Can you explain what antioxidants are to women?
Okay, so antioxidants help to neutralize damaging substances in the body which cause damage to all the body's cells, and that includes the egg and the sperm actually as well. So if you can provide a nice, environment, antioxidants will help to create a really healthy environment for the eggs to mature in, okay? And your main source of antioxidants are vegetables and salads and fruits. So lots of variety, lots of colour. All the different colours correspond to different antioxidants. So that thing about eat a whole rainbow, you eat a nice rainbow of different colours. And I know some women are worried about eating fruit because of the sugar content. And, berries are a fantastic solution there. They give you those rich red and purpley colours that not much of that around in vegetables apart from red cabbage, which not many people are a great fan of, And, frozen berries are absolutely fine.
Yeah. But also, Claire, like this time of year with root vegetables, butternut squash, carrots, really full of beta carotene, which is great for the ovaries and the thyroid.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can make, really nice soups this time of year as well. And also another sort of really quick and easy thing to do to make a quick and easy meal, roast a tray of root vegetables, some carrots in there, some parsnips in there, some butternut squash, get that really nice kind of, orange kind of tray baked roast thing going. Have that, stick a couple of chicken breasts on top of that, and you've got a fantastic.
Sounds delicious. I might have that tonight, except I've got hardly any veg, but anyway, I'll get there.
I've got this book actually, which is it's all about those kind of tray baked recipes where you just chop up some vegetables, shove them in the oven, and then at some point, stick in a couple of chicken breasts or sort of, fish fillet or a piece of salmon or something like that. Makes it so easy.
Yeah.
But as you said, that carotene, that's that accumulates in the ovaries. So we think that it plays a role either in helping the eggs to mature properly or protecting them as they mature, one or other or both of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I believe in supplements as well. I think vitamin D is really important for women going through IVF. So important in the follicular fluid that surrounds the egg, but also for immune. Things like inositol, folate, all of these things, rich greeny veg, etc. So there's a lot you can do. Somebody's just asked here, how many eggs should you be eating?
Well,
eggs get bad press, don't they? I think eggs are great.
They still get a bad press, and everybody used to be worried about them.
Cholesterol. Oh my goodness, your cholesterol is high.
The advice not to eat eggs or to limit eggs was actually reversed years ago, but they haven't really told anybody about it, and it's really stuck in everybody's minds. But there's that saying, eat eggs for eggs. Because they are really nutritious, and again, really easy source of protein. A couple of poached eggs or boiled eggs or lightly scrambled.
And it's got that there's orange, yellow, not yolks. The middle of them is sort of good beta carotene and choline. Choline.
Yes, choline. That's very important. For the cell membranes and so on, and they do have a little bit of vitamin D in them. They don't have a lot, you were talking about vitamin D, and, the vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, and the yolk is the fatty part of the egg. So you will, that's where you'll find vitamin Ds in those, animal foods that contain oil, but generally you're going to need a supplement. But you don't, in terms of limiting eggs, you don't really need to limit them from the point of view of what, your cholesterol levels. I would say you want to include a wide variety of foods.
Yeah.
So you want to be having lots of different protein sources. But if you were somebody who it was easy for you to have eggs every day for breakfast as a source of protein, I wouldn't be worried about that.
Somebody's just asking here, Claire, as well, can you take too much vitamin D?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You do need to be careful with vitamin D. And I think, a lot of supplements that you'll get, and certainly the spray that sell at the clinic, it's 1,000 IUs, which is 25 micrograms per spray. And I wouldn't take more than that. unless you've had a vitamin D test and you're being guided by somebody professional as to how additional vitamin D you should be taking. I mean, if you have a test through your doctor and if you're severely deficient, they might very well give you a very high dose for a couple of weeks, but you shouldn't be high dosing yourself.
And we see so many men and women, and like, you know, vitamin D receptors are on the sperm and the ovaries, aren't they? So, but and we're in the middle of the winter, so, and it's become so, you know, it's in the news all of the time now, isn't it? Because of infections, etc. Somebody asked on there, for protein, can they eat chicken liver?
Well, I would say not if there's any chance that you might become pregnant naturally. Okay. Now,
what, because of vitamin A?
Yeah. So liver, so you know, whether it's calf's liver or pig's liver or chicken liver, that contains a particular form of vitamin A, which you're not supposed to have when you are pregnant, because it can cause damage to the embryo. Now, having said that, I would say don't panic if you are pregnant or you think you might be pregnant and you've had a bit of liver. I mean, because in actual fact, you can have a certain amount of that form of vitamin A, just not too much. So you know, you shouldn't be supplementing vitamin A in the form of retinol. And once you know you're pregnant, you definitely shouldn't be eating liver.
And a lot of supplements and things contain beta carotene, don't they? And that converts to
You don't need to worry about vitamin A in the form of beta carotene. The body converts beta carotene into vitamin A as and when you need it. You've just got to be careful about having an excessive amount of the retinol form of vitamin A, and that's what you find in liver.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody's asked here, is drinking pomegranate juice and eating pineapple during IVF beneficial? And how about McDonald fries after egg collection or transfer? I don't know where this McDonald fries came from. So ladies, if you can tell us what the thing is with McDonald fries, but it's been around for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. So pomegranate juice, okay. So pomegranate juice is highly antioxidant, right? So, you know, that a small amount can contribute to, you know, to your antioxidant intake. I mean, I would say in general, okay, I don't really recommend juices, because when you make a fruit juice, you're extracting the water and the flavorings and all the sugar. Right?
Yeah.
So it really concentrates the sugars, and pomegranate juice is very, very sugary. So you've got to be careful with it. Only have you know, if you're going to have it, just have a little shot. Okay. You know, I mean, you know, just a little shot of it. Okay. There's no evidence that it's going to, that in particular, or pineapple in particular, is going to help with implantation or anything.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because women are always looking for that magic food, and pineapple's become the symbol, hasn't it, for IVF?
Yeah. So this is like coming back to that earlier question about what are the top 5 superfoods for fertility. I'm a little bit wary about talking about superfoods.
Yeah, I agree.
As if they were some kind of magic food. I would really much rather people have a wide variety of different foods, because if you do that, you're much more likely to really maximize and optimize your nutrient intake and get all the nutrients that are really important for fertility. So having said that, you know, folate, I mean, that's the one thing, folic acid is the one thing that is, you know, anybody who's trying to get pregnant should be taking, and you know, and we recommend
in the form of folate,
methyl folate, rather than the what's the word I'm looking for? Artificial. It's not quite the right word, but
synthetic.
You know, synthetic folic acid. And you know, you can get lots of folate from food as well. You know, so I'd encourage people to have, you know, plenty of those, and that's your leafy greens, asparagus as well when it's in season. You know, they're really good sources.
While we're talking about folate, somebody's come on here that wants to find out about MTHFR. Any help on how to try and manage my diet from this would be great. What's difficult with this, isn't it, is that you're given a high dose of folic acid to take, usually by doctors and things. So can you sort of mention something about what she should be taking in terms of diet-wise?
Well, it is that, you know, dietary folates are in the form that your body can use, you know, so including plenty of those is certainly going to be helpful. Sorry, my cat is just tearing up my sofa. 1 second. Sorry about that. He's in a very bad mood. He had to go to the vet and he's got one of those collars on.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
So managing MTHFR through diet, I mean, it's a tricky one, and you know, and I think sometimes when people get these given these very high doses of folic acid as well, you know, the body struggles to metabolize those when you've got these MTHFR variants, especially if you've inherited that from both parents. So I think sometimes people then get, you know, just odd symptoms, you know, headaches and fatigue and so on. That they then sort of have to manage on top, and sometimes just stepping back a little bit and increasing that dose, you know, much more slowly. And I would also as well, you know, talk to your doctor about having folate rather than folic acid. Extra folic acid.
Yeah. Yeah. A lady here, can I take Conception multivitamin and folate? Well, yes, the answer is it's good to take a multivitamin and folate. And I think, you know, a lot of people think that if you're having a good diet or a balanced diet, which I don't believe in, you don't need any supplements. But I think that women today, they're stressed out, some are exhausted, they're not sleeping well, they're anxious, and you're depleting the body of vital nutrients you need to make eggs, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think as well we have to accept as well that, you know, the nutrient content of food very often is not what it used to be due to the, you know, modern farming methods, you know, depleted soils, and also the use of varieties that grow quickly so they don't have much time to sort of suck up any nutrients from the soil that are there. And as you said, you know, stress really depletes the body of nutrients. So, you know, and, you know, let's face it, nobody eats, you know, eats a super healthy diet every single day. Well, I mean, I'm sure some people do, but, you know, I don't.
I bet you do, Claire. That looks like a very balanced diet with all those herbs.
I eat a very good diet, but there are days, like anybody, when it just all goes wrong for one reason or another.
Oh, I used to see you coming up to the kitchen in the clinic, and I'd be embarrassed to take my food out when I could see what you were eating. It was so much healthier than mine.
I never judge anybody what they're eating, because I know what I eat sometimes when you're not looking to eat it. So.
Oh, right, okay.
You know, so you know, I mean, it's really hard to eat a super healthy diet every single day, and to be that organized about things. So I think, you know, having you know, a multivitamin, it provides you with that insurance policy. I mean, it's not an alternative. It's absolutely not an alternative, and it cannot make up for, you know, a really rubbish diet.
And I think sometimes women make it really complicated. They go online and they'll come in with single doses of all these vitamins in a bag with 30 products in, which, you know, which isn't great. You know, for us, the way that, you know, that you work is looking at blood sugar balance, gut health. All of these are sort of key. It's no one thing, is it?
No, it isn't. I mean, I think with the supplements, when you're working with a professional, they might recommend single extra doses of certain things for a particular reason. But I think, you know, if you're just looking to, as I say, to have this sort of, you know, an insurance policy and make sure you are getting every day a sufficient amount of, you know, all the nutrients that are important for supporting their egg production and egg quality, I would go for a preconception multivitamin every time. I mean, it'd be cheaper as well than, you know, dozens of, and also it's just such pain taking dozens and dozens and dozens of different products.
I know. And I get a lot of questions because a lot of women take everything in one go. They don't think to spread it out, you know, and I think sometimes it can make you feel a bit sick, but it's good to spread things out during the day. Then you're getting a constant, aren't you?
And you want to be taking food as well.
Yes.
I mean, any multivitamin is going to contain zinc, and if you take zinc on an empty stomach, that can make you feel really sick. So yeah, you definitely want to be taking them with food. You know, your body's primed to absorb things in that state. So
what are good foods to thicken the uterine lining? And again, there is no set food that's going to thicken the uterine lining, but I know that we use, like we encourage beetroot juice and various things like that, don't we?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, in theory, well, we know that blood flow to the uterus is an important, you know, dimension of creating an environment for good implantation. And we know that beetroot juice contains something that improves blood flow. There isn't any research that joins all the dots together and says that it actually, you know, helps with implantation, but theoretically it's gonna help with blood flow. There's also research which suggests that vitamin E and vitamin C are both important for the development of the uterine lining. So foods like nuts and seeds and avocados, and olive oil, these things are all going to be a source of vitamin E. So, you know, you don't want to be having loads of them, you know, but just make sure that you include a nice wide range of those foods that contain vitamin E. And then of course vitamin C, that's going to come from your fruit and your salad and your vegetables. So again, nice wide range of those. This time of year, I mean, citrus fruit is great for vitamin C. You know, there's some fantastic oranges around at the moment.
One of the a few questions that are coming up are about frozen embryo transfers and women that are going through egg donation. So those eggs are made, those embryos are made. So what should they be focusing on in the lead up to transfer or receiving their embryos?
Well, I think, you know, focusing on the blood flow, supporting that blood flow, help the uterine lining to develop. I mean, you know, exercise is important there as well. You know, it's great for blood flow, just keeping moving. And again, that's very challenging at the moment. You know, people stuck at home. But do take advantage of that opportunity that you're allowed to go out and exercise on a daily basis. Just even, you know, even a brisk walk. You know, you don't want to be pushing yourself. You don't want to be pushing yourself to the extreme from doing intense exercise. But, you know, brisk walk, you know, that will help with the blood flow. I mean, you know, I mentioned zinc a bit earlier. That's also important for, you know, you want to be supporting your progesterone production as well to help sustain the pregnancy. So magnesium and zinc are important there. You know, magnesium, you'll find that in lots, you know, leafy greens have got lots of magnesium in, but, you know, whole foods in general, you know, things like, you know, chickpeas and lentils and nuts and seeds.
One lady's here saying acupuncture, and acupuncture is very good as well. One of the questions here is about protein. This comes up all of the time, doesn't it, for women? Because during a natural cycle, when you're trying to conceive naturally, you're just producing one egg. But with IVF, we're trying to grow a lot of eggs. So it's not a natural situation, is it? So the questions here are about protein, but also for vegetarians and vegan.
Yeah.
And we are in vegan January. I can't remember how. Yeah.
And it is, you know, if you're eating as a vegetarian and particularly as a vegan, I mean, if you're a vegetarian that eats dairy and eggs, you know, the high protein yogurts. So look for a natural yogurt with about 10% protein in. Some of the Greek yogurts, not all of them. Some of the Greek yogurts will have that in, and you know, and eggs, we've already talked about eggs, you know, they're great to include. If you're a vegan, you've really got to be on it with your protein intake. It's possible, but it's very challenging to get enough protein. So things like lentils and beans and chickpeas, right? You know, they kind of half carbs and half protein. So you need to be including plenty of those, nuts and seeds as well. You know, if you're having a breakfast cereal, you know, a kind of muesli type cereal, even if it's a nutty one, you know, add extra nuts in there, add extra seeds in there.
What about protein shakes?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be, you know, I would say have a protein shake to supplement your protein intake.
Yeah.
But ideally, you know, you need to be, don't use that as a substitute for trying to get as much protein as you can from food, because any protein food comes wrapped up with lots of other nutrients as well. As soon as you just, you know, extract the protein and put it in a powder, that gives you the protein, but it doesn't give you all the other nutrients.
Yeah.
If you buy one of the powders that's got added vitamins and minerals, that then starts getting really complicated because you don't want to be having too much alongside your preconception multivitamin. You know, it can all start to get a bit complicated.
But vegans can be short, can't they, in terms of B12 and zinc? Really, and you've got to work hard to do it. You know, I admire people that can do that. I wouldn't be able to, but you've got to work really hard at it. And I remember in the clinic a couple of months ago having somebody that didn't like vegetables, was eating pasta all the time, and that's not great either. So you've got to really sort of look after your diet, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And be careful about resorting to too much soya as
Yeah.
well. You know? I mean, some people say have absolutely no soya. I tend more towards the view that if you have something, now and again, it's not going to have a negative impact. But, if you have soya as some tofu in a stir fry or something once a week, that should be fine, but you don't want to be resorting to soya-based products all the time and soya milk and so on, because soya contains something that behaves a little bit like estrogen, like a weak estrogen, and so there are concerns that can upset your hormone balance. But a small amount now and again. And I would say if you're a vegan, just be careful of some of these vegan food products as well. They may be vegan, but a lot of them are highly processed.
Yes. Yeah.
Vegan cheese, it's basically a kind of mishmash of some kind of coconut oil and starch.
Yeah.
And you kind of think,
Yeah, no, you definitely have to be careful. So some more questions here, Claire, and I'm aware we've come to the end. How many grams of protein should I have a day when trying to conceive naturally, and what protein drink should I have? I hear that pea protein is bad for fertility, and also unflavored is the best.
Well, I say generally, I would say if a high protein diet, aiming for 15 to 20 grams of protein at breakfast, 20-25 at lunch, 20-25 at dinner, and then you might pick some other bits up in snacks. So that's totaling up to somewhere between around 70 grams a day, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're going to have a protein powder, whey protein, it is dairy based, so if you've got a dairy sensitivity, you have to be careful. But it's very rich in cysteine, which converts into glutathione, which is an antioxidant that we know helps to protect eggs as they mature. So I quite favour that. It doesn't taste very nice. None of them do, none of the plain ones. But you can flavour it yourself with some berries and, a bit of cinnamon or a bit of vanilla, or even, raw cocoa powder.
Yeah.
Not drinking chocolate, but tons of sugar in. Or a rice. If you're vegan, I would go for a rice protein.
Okay. A lady here's just had a retrieval. Can I stop taking inositol and ubiquinol now, or should I continue? For how long?
Oh look, I can't give sort of individual advice about supplements really, because I don't know anything about.
Okay, that's fine. We need her medical help. Okay.
Yeah.
How long before a donor frozen embryo transfer should you start to take a supplement? And or better than your diet? Well, no, we would never say that supplements are better than your diet. Your diet is really important, but you can take it in the lead up to and alongside. Is a scoop of pure cream powders in my smoothie okay?
It depends what's in the greens and the quality of it. But as a general principle, if it's a good quality product and there's no reason why you personally shouldn't take it, in general it should be fine. If you've got any immune issues, overactive immune system, you need to be a little bit careful with green powders, because they, some of those things can boost your immunity in an unbalanced and unhelpful way.
Yeah.
So
a lot's been asked about Chinese medicine. I'm not a Chinese herbalist, so I would never recommend herbs. I know that a lot of IVF clinics aren't keen on women taking Chinese herbs in the lead up to their IVF cycle, because it can skew some of the hormones. So I much prefer supplements. That's just me, but don't take that for granted, because I'm not a Chinese herbalist. So I think, Claire, we're coming to the end. I mean, it's gone so quickly, but on a general note, I mean, the Mediterranean diet, that's had studies done, hasn't it, to show that it can help with IVF and eggs, etc. So that's really, really worth doing. Yeah. We hear a lot now about the microbiome and the gut, and that's one thing that's what we look at, don't we? And I think for many women, they suffer from digestion issues and irritable bowel. And if you make your hormones from the food you eat. So if you're not absorbing well with your gut, it can be detrimental as well, can't it? And balancing blood sugar is another thing we look at. So you know, it's looking at absolutely everything, because fertility is a whole body event. It's not just eating pineapples one day and something else the next. And as you say, that the whole aim isn't just about getting eggs and embryos. It's about producing a healthy egg, healthy embryo to have a healthy pregnancy. And for any woman... Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just going to say, you know, supporting all the body's systems, you know, and because it's all connected. In the end, it's all connected up, and a healthy body, you know, a body that's healthy, you know, in all respects. You know, that's going to help you to produce healthy eggs.
It is, and again, all those nutrients that you're building up. You know, if you do get pregnant, you know, your baby doesn't rely on what you have any one day. It relies on your reserves. And I think that's important to sort of remember as well. And for so many women, they feel out of control in this whole journey. But, you know, your diet and nutrition is the one thing that you can have control over. And what I feel very negative about is when I see on Instagram or you know, all these rigid things that women have to do. There's got to be flexibility, or else you're not going to be able to sustain it, are you?
Yeah. I mean, this is one of there is actually, you know, within that idea of a Mediterranean diet and lots of variety and lots of colour, you know, there's a lot of flexibility. That it's actually a very inclusive diet.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, often women that you know that we see in clinic, actually they're quite knowledgeable about nutrition, but they need a lot of ideas, and they need to know how to translate things and make it manageable for their own personal lifestyle and own personal, you know, circumstances.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. You know, we talked earlier about some of the things that are, you know, that you do need to really manage quite carefully, but it doesn't have to be, you know, very rigid, overly restrictive kind of approach at all.
I mean, especially at this time, it's miserable enough, you know, so things that are going to lighten you are really, really important. Care, everybody said this has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you'll come on again, which will be good. And I hope that this has helped you all this evening. And then tomorrow evening, we'll be doing the second part of the course. So I think it's been an interesting few days for everybody. But thanks so much. And you're available by Skype, aren't you? And Zoom. Yeah. And so if anybody wants to make an appointment at Zita West Clinic with Claire, just go online and you'll see the number. I can never remember the number, Claire. And, you know... We always get great feedback from you and Isabel when women have seen you. So thank you all so much for listening tonight, and I will see you tomorrow evening. But thanks, Claire, and take care. And one day I aim to have all of those lovely herbs in a row behind me. Okay, take care then. Okay, bye-bye, bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.